Number 1. So I'm headed out to my local mall a few days ago, determined to do some serious Christmas shopping. As a bit of reference, I'm only about 5'5" and quite thin. I have a shaggy pixie cut and prefer the comfort of big t-shirts and skinny jeans most of the time, so I get mistaken for a 12-year-old boy a lot more than I would like to admit. So, there I was, Christmas list in hand, and ready to take this thing on like a champ. I had more money than I had for Christmas in a long time, and I was really excited to get some excellent gifts for my best friend and my parents. I was walking along on the ground floor, headed for the stairs, when I passed this lady who was giving out hand lotions. She had a few small packets in her hand, and a larger bottle on a little table beside where she stood. Okay, cool, I think to myself. Grab a sweet-ass lotion packet and keep going. I didn't want to be rude and just keep walking, so I took the lotion and smiled in a sort of "thanks for the lotion, lady" kind of way. Big mistake. Before I had the opportunity to keep going, this chick grabs my wrists and let out a squeal that would hurt a banshee's ears. "You keep your nails natural?" Hell freaking yeah, I do. I clean for a living, so there's not much point in getting them done unless I'm going somewhere special. Sure, I said, and tried to wrench myself free. To my dismay, this lady has a hold of me like a hungry anaconda, and I knew I'd be stuck listening to her sales pitch. I was a bit confused as to why she had picked me out of the entire crowd of people walking, especially because the boots and studded jacket usually scare off potential creeps, and probably friends too, but hey. Unfortunately, all the leather and studs in the world did nothing for my baby face, so I probably still seemed easy prey for this asshole. She's all, "Look how great this makes your hands and nails," while all I could think was why she thought I cared. My hands are all scarred and calloused from various do-it-yourself mishaps and years of guitar practice, so there really isn't much that can be done for them. I attempted to get away by letting her know that I wasn't interested and that I had to get back to shopping before it got too late. She batted her eyelashes and said that, lucky me, since I was so cute, she would give me an entire set for the low price of $20 if I followed her to go get it from her stand upstairs. I had just come from the top floor of the mall, since there were exits and entrances on both floors, and I knew for a fact that the only kiosk up there was an eyebrow-threading place. Like hell I was going anywhere besides GameStop to get my little brother a new game for Christmas, so I declined. She tightened her hold and just repeated the sales pitch, this time asking me weird questions in between, trying to convince me to buy this lotion. "How old are you?" 19. "Where do you go to school?" "I graduated." "Do you have a sister?" "No." "Where's your boyfriend?" "I don't have one." I tried to tell her again, nicely, because I hate hurting people's feelings. To fuck right off and let me get back to Christmas shopping when she stared dead into my eyes and said, "Are you alone?" A million little alarms went off in my head, and I lied and told her I was there with my dad. She looked around and asked which one he was. I pointed out the most intimidating-looking guy I could find, and she launched back into trying to sell me this product at warp speed, like she was in some kind of huge hurry. I told her again, more firmly this time, that I was not spending any money on her hand lotion. She started walking off in a random direction, still holding my wrist, and insisted that I come with her to see more of the products she was selling, because surely I would want something, despite the fact that every freaking word out of my mouth said the complete opposite. I yanked my arm free and stood my ground, prepared to defend myself if she tried pulling me with her again. I am not buying anything from you. I need to get back to shopping. Before I could even turn away, she asked me what I used to wash my face. A bit caught off guard, I told her, and she began launching a barrage of insults at me, like, "You're too pale," and "Your skin is so dry," and featuring my personal favorite, "It looks like a shedding lizard." Ouch. That hurt. I didn't put any stock in her petty attempts to insult me. People had complimented me on my skin before, and I liked the way I looked anyway. I walked away instead of throwing anything back at her and headed upstairs to finish shopping. But before I left the mall that night, I marched my dry lizard skin right over to the nearest mall cop and informed him that he had some rude-ass people working in the mall. I wasn't sure who else to tell, so I wasn't too surprised to see him scrunch up his face in confusion. I expected him to direct me to a sort of complaints desk or something similar, but nothing could have prepared me for what he said next. We don't sell that here." Well, shit. I described the woman and told him what brand of lotion she had tried to get me to purchase, but he only shook his head and told me the vendor for that particular brand had not been coming around that mall for years. On my way back out to the parking lot, I passed the spot where she had originally confronted me. There was no woman, no lotion samples, no vendor's cart. I later asked my cousin, who worked in the mall, if there was anyone selling that lotion there. She said no, and a quick peek at the mall's online directory confirmed it. I'd hate to think where we would have ended up had I followed her. Number 2.
My name is Lucy, and I'm a mother of 3 from Detroit. This happened about 10 years ago, but it still sticks out in my mind as one of the most disturbing things that has ever happened to me. It was Christmas night and about 12 PM, and my kids had literally just got to sleep. They are only 7 years old, but since it was Christmas they were so excited they got to sleep later this night. Well, at about 3 in the morning, my daughter Casey ran into the room. She started saying she could hear Santa, and of course we told her to go back to bed or Santa wouldn't deliver the presents. Well, she went back to bed and we went to sleep for an hour, and that's when my other daughter Selena came into my room. She said she could hear Santa too, and she said she could hear him coming down the chimney. Since I told them we could get up at 6 o'clock, I didn't see the point in going back to sleep and getting disturbed time after time again, so I told them that we would go up into the loft and look out the window and see if we can see Santa in his sleigh. Well, me, my husband and my 3 daughters went up in the loft and were up there. However, when we got up there, we could hear footsteps on our roof. This was very weird, but we put it down to being a cat. But to be cautious, my husband told me and my 3 daughters to go and wait in our room. When he looked down, he looked mortified. He said that he could definitely hear human footsteps. So he went downstairs and outside with a baseball bat. However, when he looked on the roof, there was nobody there. They must have got away. So he went back inside, but as my husband was coming back up the stairs, he saw something that caught his eye. He saw something red and black in the fireplace that obviously wasn't there before, and when he walked up to it, there was a dead cat in a Father Christmas costume. But not just one, 3 of them. Someone had got a ladder, climbed onto our roof and put them down our chimney. My husband told me to come down and look at it, and it was absolutely disgusting. The cats' heads had been almost ripped off. We put them out in the backyard and disposed of them a few days after, but I'm so glad my children didn't run downstairs to see that sitting on the fireplace. It really upsets me that some people can just be this cruel.
Number 3.
This story happened to me 5 years ago, and it still bothers me that people can be this heartless. It was getting close to Christmas and I went for my jog. I'm a 35-year-old woman and I've got a family of 5. As I was running around the corner, I bumped into someone from the neighbourhood. Bearing in mind this person is notorious for being extremely weird, I was a little cautious to talk to him, but he seemed to insist on talking to me, so I guess I had to. We were just having a general conversation about life when he handed me a present. Of course I took it and said thank you, but I didn't have a gift for him because, well, why would I? I never really spoke to him. And we put it under the tree. A little background on this man. He is the type of person that would just stand outside his house all day trying to talk to people, and he had long hair, unshaven, and was generally scruffy. Everybody in the neighbourhood tried to avoid him, and nobody really knew what he did as a job. Fast forward about 5 days, it's Christmas Day, and I wake up and go downstairs. We opened all the main presents first, of course, but at the end we just had a few presents left from people we didn't really know, so we decided to open them. I said to my 5-year-old kids they can open it, and I went in the kitchen to get my phone to take a picture or a video of them opening the presents. Well, when I came back, I was utterly shocked. I saw my 5-year-old daughter open a cardboard box with candy written on the front. It looked a bit shoddy, so I took it off with my daughter, and when I looked at it, he had put blue asbestos in the box hoping that my kids would eat it. I quickly grabbed the box and put it outside, and wake my husband up and ask him what to do. 2 days later we told the neighbours, and we were the only ones to get a present off of him. Needless to say, we never spoke to him again.
Number 4. I'm a member of the slam poetry scene. Basically, it's an excuse to get people to listen to performance poetry by adding a competitive element to things. After running through the small scene in my city and wanting to branch out and push my career further, I started visiting places within driving distance that I could spit. This led me to Charlotte, North Carolina. I started at their local team venue, where you compete to be part of a squad that goes to a national competition every year. I was doing well and was accepted into the local crew pretty readily. This led to longer stays and features at some of the other venues in the city. I started going to the one that was particularly popular and good for selling CDs. That's where I met him. He worked as a barback. Occasionally he got on stage and shared, frankly shitty, poems. He was the brother of the host and everyone knew and liked him. He slowly started flirting with me more and more, although in my loose days, searching for acceptance and love everywhere, something always kept me leery. I'd gladly accept the drinks he sent over, smoke his weed with the group in a stock room between sets, and hang out at parties and events. I always had the tickle in my gut warning not to get too close, but over a year or two we continued to become friends. After a while, he started calling and texting me more often, poking me on Facebook daily, sending messages about wanting to be more than friends, that he wanted to find a snow bunny. Yes, I'm white, and he's black, and he wanted to settle down. Again, I never entertained it. There was something gnawing at me. The crazy in his eyes was too hard to miss. I eventually moved to Denver to take a position teaching poetry and work at a friend's law firm. The second Christmas I was there, I got the call. A friend from Charlotte relayed the following. He had found his white girl and gotten married. They seemed happy at first, but slowly began fighting more and more. It spilled over into the venue, and often they had to be separated by friends from physically attacking one another in public. One friend, later thinking back, remembers the last time she saw them together, him pushing his wife, followed by her throwing a drink in his face and scratching his neck deep enough to draw blood. She said after the couple had been dragged away from each other, she sat with him and smoked a cigarette. She says she laughed and said, "You guys are going to kill each other." Around Christmas last year, his wife just stopped coming to the bi-weekly events they both attended regularly. He explained it away that they were on a break. Time goes by. No one really questions that they hadn't seen or heard from her in a while, thinking she was breaking from the whole scene in order to put distance between herself and her husband. Her parents, however, hadn't heard from their daughter since the Thanksgiving dinner. They would call him, he would say everything was fine and blow them off. This continues until a week after Christmas, knowing their daughter would never miss a holiday without at least a call. They call the police, send them to the couple's home for a well-body check. The cops arrive, knock on the door, and are let in. They ask him where she is. He replies she's in the bedroom. He shows them to the room, and there she lay, dead for weeks, rotting in their bed. Oh, and he killed her little dog, too. During this time, he had been attending events, hosting hip-hop nights, even publishing a blog on making a marriage work on one of the local organization sites. Never once letting on that every night he was going home and sleeping with his murdered wife. The sickest part of it all, he has a child from another relationship, a daughter whom he gets to celebrate every other holiday with. That Christmas they opened gifts, had dinner, cuddled up on the couch and watched movies, less than 100 feet from her decaying stepmother. I don't know what would have happened if I've ever taken him up on his offer to date, but I do know me and my gut are going to stay on speaking terms, and I will always listen. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for future content. And very special thanks to that Creepypasta guy for joining me as a guest narrator on today's video. Be sure to show your love and subscribe to his channel by clicking the link on the screen or in the description. Also, be sure to submit your stories and experiences to the email in the description, and you might even hear it read in a future video. But as always, happy holidays to everyone, and I'll see you again soon. I had more money than I had for Christmas in a long time, and I was really excited to get some excellent gifts for my best friend and my parents. I was walking along on the ground floor, headed for the stairs, when I passed this lady who was giving out hand lotions. She had a few small packets in her hand, and a larger bottle on a little table beside where she stood. Number 1. So I'm headed out to my local mall a few days ago, determined to do some serious Christmas shopping. As a bit of reference, I'm only about 5'5" and quite thin. I have a shaggy pixie cut and prefer the comfort of big t-shirts and skinny jeans most of the time, so I get mistaken for a 12-year-old boy a lot more than I would like to admit. So, there I was, Christmas list in hand, and ready to take this thing on like a champ, and let out a squeal that would hurt a banshee's ears. "You keep your nails natural?" Hell freaking yeah I do. I clean for a living, so there's not much point in getting them done unless I'm going somewhere special. Sure, I said, and tried to wrench myself free. To my dismay, this lady has a hold of me like a hungry anaconda. Okay, cool, I think to myself. Grab a sweet-ass lotion packet and keep going. I didn't want to be rude and just keep walking, so I took the lotion and smiled in a sort of "thanks for the lotion, lady" kind of way. Big mistake. Before I had the opportunity to keep going, this chick grabs my wrists